All right, y'all. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Erik. I am joined by my compadre and partner in crime, Cristian. We are just two nonpartisan, or at least we are trying to be, talking heads here to deliver entertainment and knowledge and probably some banter. Even though we do like each other, we probably won't agree 100% on everything. So Cristian, to start it off as our first episode, tell me what you thought about the presidential debate yesterday.
Honestly, man, I was kind of impressed. I mean, I guess impressed probably isn't the best way to describe my feelings.
Impressed by what?
Impressed by the fact that I thought it was going to be a train wreck. Like, I honestly was expecting a full-blown train wreck. Based
like
on,
like they were carrying Biden like off, like they just like cut, like hard cut, and it went to a black screen like mid-debate.
Yeah, like the fact that he was even able to stand through the whole debate was like a victory. It was a win by far.
I feel that's so wild because like I expected the exact same. I was like, this is going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to America. Like the leader of the free world is not going to be able to make it through. Like just talking about issues that like he should know about. It's not like a pop quiz on Jeopardy, like right? It's like stuff that he should have answers to. And I agree. Like, I don't think it was like he sucks. Like that's irrefutable. But like he didn't suck to the extent that I expected him to, and that was like wild.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, you look at history of debates with these two, and I mean, last time in 2020, it was nothing but just a dogfight. I mean, they literally just interrupted each other, talked over each other, and it was just chaos. And so I was expecting a little bit of the same. And I did, read some articles coming out of the Trump camp that he was going to take a different approach this time, which obviously showed in the debate. But between that and then just the capable abilities, the mental abilities of Biden, I was quite surprised that it went as well as it actually did.
Well, you know what's funny about the whole like, okay, I get it. They're going to mute mics. Like, Trump agreed to all the CNN rules that were clearly favoring because they didn't want Biden to get slaughtered. But when I saw how close their podiums were, I was like, he's just going to yell anyways. Like, put his mics off. But he really didn't. He really didn't. He just made faces the whole time, which was like probably even more. It was probably more humorous than had he interrupted. But like he just like Biden would say like an incomplete sentence, and Trump would just be like, what the frick? Like, his face is just like, what did you just say? And I think there was even like a time where he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Biden has no clue what he just said at the end of that statement.
Yeah, he literally said that, like verbatim. He said that he had no idea what he said, and Biden didn't either. And that's what was hilarious about the whole thing. But I mean, in all honesty, I think Trump realizes that even his base is a little disappointed in how he can act sometimes. And so I think he had to take, a more presidential, for lack of better words, approach to this debate if he wanted to gain any followers at all or keep the base that he has.
Well, it's interesting because like I felt there was no real upside for him to debate. Like, because the only thing that could happen is Biden not look like as much of a buffoon as like everyone that there's probably only like 5% of people who haven't made up their opinion on which one of the two clowns they like better. Like everyone's already made, and for those that have made the decision, like I like Trump better, they already know like the dude can't put two sentences together. And if you like just vehemently like deny like what you see, you at least have to admit that like Trump is more cognitively there than Biden. And so like I felt like there was nothing for Trump to gain and everything for like him to lose if he didn't do super well. And it's just wild that and we'll get into that later on like what the media, like how they viewed it. But like I personally didn't think Trump, like I felt of the two on stage, I felt that Trump did better, but not what I expected. I expected like just dunking on him for 2 hours, and that just didn't.
Right, and I think that's why he even agreed to the debate. I mean, like you said, there wasn't much for him to gain, and I think the reason he accepted and took the debate was his hope was that Biden would literally just fall apart. Like I think he just expected Biden to not be able to put together a coherent sentence, and just hoped that the American people would be able to see Biden for who he truly is. And I think that caught Trump by surprise. Now, I don't know how they did it because, I mean, we all know that Biden can't put together a coherent sentence.
And
I don't know.
You know, one part of me was like, oh man, he must be on like all kinds of cocaine. But like there were times where he was just like, but if you looked at Biden's eyes, he just looked like so out of it. Like I'm pretty sure he's not even listening to Trump right now. I'm pretty sure he's just like hearing things in his head. Like I don't know if you saw this, like when Trump was talking, like Trump would say something kind of off the wall and Biden's mouth would just be like open with his eyes, like kind of like trying to figure out what he just heard. So it's like, okay, like he definitely wasn't like on a cocktail of drugs to make him more. That's just who he is. Like the version of Biden we saw on stage, like I feel confident like that's the shell of a human that has been in the Senate for 50 years. That's like who was there still.
What I thought was funny is you could tell that he was, reading off a teleprompter, and there was moments where
did they have teleprompter?
Oh yeah, he had to have. There's no way. There's a couple moments.
I saw a little thing where it looked like he had an earpiece. Like I saw like a meme or a screenshot. Maybe we could pull it up here, where it kind of looked like he had an earpiece. Like I don't know, man. Like even so, like
he had to have. There's no way he put that together on his own. Like,
but if you think about it,
he had to have had help.
Like, does that bother you? Because I'm pretty sure like every TED Talk, like people don't memorize their TED Talk. They have like a little, like an earpiece, like playing back like, keynotes or something, or a teleprompter for them to like go forward. And like, no, I mean, if you've ever watched a TED Talk, everyone is like the exact same level of polished and like the cadence is the same. Like people don't talk like that unless they have some sort of guide. So it doesn't bother me if the dude had, though it's pretty sad that like, I mean, you're the current president. Like if you're the current president, like you shouldn't have to say, well, when I get into office, then we'll do X. It's like, what are you talking about? Do it now. Like,
yeah, you're there.
What? Yeah.
Like, do it. Let's go.
Yeah, if it's such a priority for, we can't let Trump in the White House or else this thing won't be done. It was like, well, you haven't done it. So.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, like I think just to close that off, like I was shocked. My wife and I included, or my wife included, like, felt that like it was pretty evenly matched, which I did not expect, and not in a good way either. Not like two juggernauts. But I think the biggest problem I had, and I can be a little bit open, like as someone who is RFK curious and an RFK, at least supporting of the like more choice, right? Like I want to hear all my options. I thought it was absolutely astounding that he wasn't on the debate stage. I just kind of want to know what your thoughts are on that, and like where you are in terms of like your, in the court of public opinion. Like, what's your opinion on him?
Oh, I thought it was horrible. I mean, just the fact. I mean, this is a guy who literally is polling in the double digits. Like, how do you leave him off the stage? Like, we're basically telling the world that, no, we are a two-party system and no one else is allowed in. And that's wrong. Well, I mean, the guy's running as an independent. Like, let him speak. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense to me.
Well, especially after, now, the Democrats didn't really have a primary. To be honest, I don't really remember what it was like in 2020 during their primary, like what percentage people needed to have to be on the stage. But the RNC, like for the first and second debate, you had to poll like 1%. Like 1%. And you're getting on the stage, like clowns I'd literally never heard of. They had like 9 people on the stage for the for the RNC first and second debate. Like dudes, like they know they have no prayer. It's like they're basically just trying to interview for hoping for maybe a cabinet position. And homie, almost to a fault, like literally, like out of 100 polls, he's polling in the double digits, and nearly all of them, and had 5 polls where he was over 15% or higher. Like when one out of 6 Americans like wants this person to be president, like I would think that both of the candidates, if the race is as close as they claim it was, like with Trump and Biden so neck and neck, like wouldn't you want to persuade 1/6 of America that like, hey, instead of voting for this guy, it'd be better if you vote for me? Like I just find that to be like a travesty that like just from like just sheer numbers, like, we can move the needle towards us just by, if RFK is as crazy as the media has told me he is, then let's let him expose himself on national TV. Like that should have been like an.
I think they're scared of him. Yeah. I honestly think they're scared of him. The only thing that makes sense to me, Eric, is that literally they're scared that he would make a fool out of both of them. Like the fact that they won't even let him speak, like it makes zero sense. It has to be that they're just worried that that he would have answered the questions better than they would, and that he would pull more of their base. Well, like what else makes sense?
Well, and it's funny that you say that. So Trump leading up to the debate, like obviously he has to throw his jabs in there. saying that like RFK doesn't have the numbers, he doesn't deserve to be up there, but said like, yeah, I'm happy to have him up on the stage. I'm not the one holding him off. Which is the exact same playbook that Bill Clinton did in 1992 with George H. Bush. Felt that Ross Perot was taking more from the conservatives. So he's like, yeah, I'd love to have, I think it's really important that Ross Perot gets on the stage, that, for democracy, it's so important that we hear all the voices. And, him knowing that it was, he didn't want him up there either. But he felt like at least their internal polling that Ross Perot hurt George Bush Sr. more, and which did turn out to be the case. I think Bill Clinton won the election with like 41% of the vote, or like something like either somewhere between like 39 and 41. We can get a number up, but yeah, it's like, so Trump doesn't want him up there, but he tried to make it seem like he did, and
of course.
Well,
and what's crazy though is, I know that RFK was doing his own little live stream during the debate. And I don't have the exact numbers, but I think once when I clicked over and just looked at it, he had like over 700,000 people watching.
No, dude.
Like 700,000 people.
So it was higher toward the end because like at the beginning, I watched the, the realdebate.com, the X link. And at the beginning it was around like 700,000, but because it was like kind of time delayed, because his responses, he would, they would pause the CNN debate and then he would get asked the same question by John Stossel. Right. Toward the end, the CNN debate was like actually over, like no longer on the air, but it was still like live streaming on X with his rebuttals and stuff. So toward the end, it was almost 6 million. I think at the very end, during John Stossel's final remarks, it was like 5.6 million, like in real time, and over
5.6 million.
So it's like,
dude, that's crazy.
That's insane. And I think that, I think for me, like as someone who has watched multiple of his long form interviews, like I like there's the substance of his answers, and I can like definitively say like I don't believe everything he believes about every topic.
Sure.
Right? Like, and we don't necessarily have to get in like which things I disagree with right now, but by like clearly dude is a history book. Like he's literally he could teach advanced history at any college in America, knows everything about like the last like 12 wars America's been in, and has substance to what he would do, given the same opportunity to tackle problems. Whether you agree or disagree with his personal opinions about things, like Trump and Biden did not have answers to like just like, what are you going to do about the childcare crisis? Like,
right.
And then like, what the like neither one of them answered the question. Like you can even have a wrong answer. Like, well, I don't agree with that. But like, they didn't even almost as if they're like, yeah, we're not dealing with that. And like RFK, like, well, I'll do this, this, and this. We'll save this much money by doing this, cutting military spending. Well, and you can disagree with that, but you can't disagree that he at least believes that he has a plan. Yeah,
at least he has a plan and he's presenting something.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's so frustrating to me. Like, let him speak. Let him speak. I mean, numbers speak volumes. The fact that there was that many people watching his stream tells you that people want to hear what he has to say. So put him on the stage.
Well, and the crappy thing is like everyone under the age of 50 will have that opportunity. Like where they get their media is from digital sources, right? Right. To show that,
right.
Like from, I guess you could say from social media or from the internet, right? They're not, no one under the age of 50 that I know of is their primary source for getting the news is from TV. Whereas like your grandparents, my grandparents, like my uncles and aunts, like that's where or whatever channel they're choosing to watch, that's their version
Fox,
of what
CNN, whatever it is.
Like whatever they choose to watch, that's where the news comes from. And so like you're never, without being on like the national stage in that way, like my grandmother wouldn't, regardless of what her opinion would be, she's never going to formulate an opinion. And I think it's just trash because like that's half the electorate, like it just doesn't even get exposure to, in my opinion, one of the best candidates we've had in my lifetime. I can't, I don't know what the political climate was.
And like him or not,
80 years
like
ago.
him or not, he's polling high enough that he should be on the stage.
Yeah, if one out of six people wants
like
you to
him
be
or
the president, like you deserve to have your voice heard. That's all.
100%.
That's all I'll say about that.
100%.
So probably the highlight of the debate, And it was, but again, I watched the real debate where RFK is like split screen, so there's three of them, and they're going back and forth about Trump and Biden are going back and forth about how amazing they are at golf. And we're just gonna.
Oh my gosh, I saw that.
All right, we're gonna watch the clip right now.
Yeah, let's watch it. Let's pull it up.
But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year, and we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test, and you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor, and then I took another one, a similar one, and one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie, that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Hey, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
Oh my gosh, it's the richest, literally the richest thing in the world for Trump to tell somebody to not act like children, bro. Like, this is the richest. That's like the most gold.
We're literally, it's just crazy to me. I mean, here we are, a nation who is struggling in so many different things, and we're literally wasting time on this stage debating who's better at golf.
Yeah, and it's like
is this real life? Like, is this really happening?
Yeah, like it's honestly like scary. Like, and watching this live, I was just like mouth aghast. Like, I don't know how out of 340 million people, this is the best we have. Like, out of all the this incredible, brilliant people. This is the best.
Dave Portnoy tweeted. He said, "Let's just end the election now. Let's settle this on the golf course."
I think you do 18 holes. I think you do 18 holes and just hash it out. Like, if whoever strokes it the best, like that's there.
Well, first of all, I don't understand Trump's argument. So he's saying that because he won a club championship, that makes him really smart.
Well, who's invited to the club championship? And last I heard,
obviously members of the club, I'm sure.
Yeah, but how many people were invited? Like, is it his family that was there? Like, I didn't get invited. It definitely wasn't televised or published.
And first of all, I mean, let's be honest. If I'm playing with the former president of the United States, I'm probably going to choke on a few holes.
Yeah,
so
I'm
exactly.
Like, I'm not
sand
trap. Oh man, I can't get out.
Exactly.
That's
but
definitely, Mr. President, that's a 2-stroke penalty for me. Like that.
He's using that championship to prove that he's like mentally able to be the president. And I guess I don't quite understand how that relates. I mean, as long as you can hit the ball straight and far, like
wasn't FDR in a wheelchair? FDR was in a wheelchair at the end of his presidency. I don't think that affected whether he could be the president. But what I will say definitively, there's no way that Biden is a 6 handicap unless we're talking mini golf. If we're
0%,
like if you get him on a mini golf course, he just might shoot 6 over. And to be honest, like I haven't played in a long time, he might show me up. Like,
Eric, don't let my golf hat like confuse you. I love golf. I am not a great golfer, but I know enough about golf that I can tell you right now he is not a 6 handicap. There's no way. Like you said,
there ain't no
unless he's
way.
Playing mini golf.
Yeah,
unless it's a putt.
There is no way, bro. Like
it's not possible.
Yeah, no.
I can tell you what, I put myself up against him in a game of golf anytime.
You get me around the clubs right now. I've never played, like I've been to the driving range 2 or 3 times. And I actually hate golfing because I'm a baseball player, and so like I just have an awful
messes your swing
because of my baseball swing. but you give me
Yeah.
a set of clubs right now, I'll beat Joe Biden right now. Like with
Yeah, well, here's the deal.
no-
He can't even climb a set of stairs.
Yeah,
Like,
Well,
I may not be able to hit the ball.
We'll give him a cart. Like, he gets a golf cart. Like, I'm not gonna make him walk like the PGA Tour. Like, he can have a cart. But at the end
It's
of the
not
day,
even about that. The guy can't even walk upstairs, but he's supposed to be a great golfer. Like, I don't
Dude, if
believe
you
it.
have,
I
if
don't
you have
believe
a
it.
cart, you don't really have to walk. Like, you just gotta like
Yeah,
park
but
your cart
even-
next to the ball.
You still have to be able to stand there and swing a golf club.
Oh, for
and
sure.
hit a golf
Like,
ball.
there's no way. I would like some before a cognitive test from Biden. I want to see him at a driving range, and I want to see him put a ball over 50 yards. Trump said he can't hit 50, so if he can hit over 50 yards, maybe I'll take everything back.
Trump said he knows his swing. He said he says he knows his swing.
So dumb. Also, like, who is like when he said cognitive tests? Like, I'm not. What's the Adam Sandler movie where that goes back to like get the inheritance? He has to like go back to like elementary school and like graduate.
Oh, Billy Madison. It's a great
That's, like,
movie.
The first
It's a
thing I
great
thought.
movie.
Like, it's like, okay, so Trump could pass like a third grade reading level and writing level. Like, I don't know what a cognitive test even would look like for a 70-year-old person, but. Cool story, bro. Again, like the fact that that's even being debated is just a sad state of affairs.
Like, we have no bigger issues. Like, you gotta be like, the whole world has to be laughing at us. Like, there's no
it's
other
trash.
explanation.
All right, so give me your Barstool ratings.
All right, so my ratings. Should I
Let me
start
ask
with
you
Trump?
this before you get there. Did you watch enough of RFK's version of the debate to make like an educated guess on how well you think he did?
I didn't. I popped back and forth, so I'll probably leave my rating of that one off and save it for a later day. But I did watch the entire debate between Trump and Biden, so I feel like I can make an opinion on that.
All right, so give me Biden, then Trump, and then I'll give you Biden, then Trump, then RFK.
Okay. So Biden, like I said, I was actually a little bit surprised. He did better than I was expecting. I fully expected him to be a train wreck and not be able to put together, a
Yeah, you expected it did not finish.
sentence.
I expected
Exactly.
like on the golf tour, like he'd just get cut. But
exactly. So I'm going to give him. I mean, just based on everything that I heard, I'm going to give him probably a 5.6.
Okay.
Which is higher than I would have expected. Honestly, I was expecting nothing better than a 3. I'd give him a 5.6.
Okay. And how about Trump?
Trump, I was very impressed with how he, conducted himself. I think he did better than I was expecting based on 2020. Wasn't super happy with a lot of his answers and how he answered some of the main topics. But I would give him I'd give him a solid 7.1.
Wow. Okay, so that's way higher than I expected for either of them. First of all, we'll get into what I thought of Biden. So I, like you, I expected a 0.0. Like, I really expected, he's doing the all around on the gymnastics and just like snapped a leg. Like, there's no way you're finishing. And I expected like that much of a train wreck. I gave him a 4.5. Like, I felt like I expected a 0. He was an 81-year-old man acting as an 81-year-old man. Like, if my relatives at the dinner table were that age, like, we'd have to get the family together and like decide like what, are we going to let this continue or are we going to like put him in a home? Trump, like, and that's, the sad part is you're right. It's like, wow, he behaved himself so well, dude. That's not enough to like, for you to deserve to be president. That you didn't interrupt the teacher and you didn't like shout at other students. They're like, wow, he's being such a good boy. Like, that's not good enough for me. I felt, and now this is my opinion, and for those of you that comment and tell me if you agree with this. Trump rarely answered a question, not just like indirectly answered because he didn't like the question. Like, he would talk about some random topic unrelated to the question that was being asked, so much so that, and I give credit to the CNN host, like Jake Tapper, who is he himself is a clown show, and he would. Mr. Trump, actually, just to remind you what the question was this. Do you have a response to this question? And like, Trump just wasn't giving answers to the actual questions being asked. Whether they were biased or not is kind of irrelevant. But that being said, I gave Trump a 5.1. So he did win the debate in my mind. but like it was like dismal, like not a passing grade. So I watched
small margins.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's why I feel like what we'll get to the left-wing media's thoughts in a second. I just feel like it's different than what I personally saw, like in terms of like the frenzy that they're in. But I watched it on X. I watched the RFK, therealdebate.com version of the debate. And now RFK by far, the only candidate that was actually providing substance and, like questions like the climate, he's like almost didn't have to answer because of his background as like a climate activist for 40 years and an environmental lawyer. Like you just don't just look at the things I've actually done, not what I would do. There were times where he just like wasn't, and I definitely wouldn't challenge his mental acuity, but where he had a clock in front of him, right in front of John Stossel, and he like kept getting cut off. Like he was being held to the same like debating criteria that like at 2 minutes your mic gets shut off, and like 4 or 5 questions, he was going in like he was talking on a long form podcast. Things, as like someone that supports what he's saying, a lot of the things he's saying, like I know that he can talk at length about many complex topics, which is why I'm drawn to him. But he like wasn't able to follow like simple debate criteria. Like, bro, you got 2 minutes. Can you talk succinctly about this point for 2 minutes like everyone else?
Yeah, wrap it up.
So I gave him 6.6. So I like far and away the best of the three, but not as good of a performance as I expected. And the sad part is that any Americans that was their first exposure to him, I feel like they would probably walk away feeling like, yeah, like he's definitely the only adult in the room, but like are there not better? Is there like we still don't have a better option than this? Like I just feel like it would have been an experience. Like it wasn't the experience I was hoping that, if you've seen a movie and your friend sees that movie for the first time, that you're like talking up this movie, like, and he walks out of the theater like, yeah, this movie was like, it was good, but like really that's like your favorite movie. And so
right.
I think he left a little bit on the table just from like his inability to like just like follow the set of standards that everyone else is following. But so we're gonna watch the MSNBC The Morning Joe clip talking about Joe Biden's performance, and this to me is really telling that I think that the reason why, this is my opinion, is that the debate was moved up to be held this soon in the election cycle as kind of like spring training to see if Biden was going to make the team. That's the way that that's just like the optics that I saw. I feel like I had heard that on some right-wing media that's kind of what they felt, but like it's pretty telling that they believe that the debate was far worse than what you and I both saw with our eyes. And I feel like anyone like just independently, no, I don't have any partisanship. Like I really don't care how, like if one of them did better than the other. Like they definitely cared a lot. So let's pull up that clip and we're gonna cover that real quick.
Well, I think I should start by saying, without any apologies, that I love Joe Biden if he were CEO and he turned in a performance like that. Would any corporation in America, any Fortune 500 corporation in America, keep him on as CEO? In fact, as the New York Times said, he spent much of the night with his mouth agape and his eyes darting back and forth. He tragically did not rise to the occasion last night.
Okay, so as you can see, you won't see us spinning here on Morning Joe. Biden had a terrible night. He could not land a thought, not even in the closing statement, which is something, that's the easiest part. It was terrible. It was terrible. There's no way to spin it. I still believe he's the best choice for this country, even with that performance last night, because he was standing next to a man who represents fascism, who doesn't believe in this country, and would not even agree to the results of this election if they were free and fair to him.
I think it was wild because MSNBC, and I could be fact checked on this, I'm pretty sure of all the major news outlets, they're like the furthest left, right? Like they're about as, like pretty much a wing of the DNC. And like, to me, I felt like I was watching Fox News. like talking, like laying into Biden, like it was did he wet himself on stage? Did he fall asleep? Like I think that he was the worst candidate on the stage? Like obviously, like I didn't vote for him. I would never vote for him. But like I feel like as I'm watching, I was like kind of feeling like I'm a Joe Biden apologist. Like what? Like this is MSNBC, and I felt like he sucks, but like he didn't suck to the degree like, oh, is this the first time you're seeing him not piece together a sentence? Like this is we've been knowing this. Like he hasn't been able to speak for years. Like I don't know. I just felt like do you remember seeing that clip where there's like all these local news? It starts off with one. And then there's like all these local news anchors, and they're all like repeating verbatim like the same thing, like pans out, and there's like 100 stations. They're all repeating like the same news clip.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
If you saw like the headlines today, that's basically what it was. It was every op-ed for CNN, for Vox, for MSNBC. Down the line, and even like what I would view as nonpartisan, like The Hill, Wall Street Journal, like are pretty like fact driven, like no bias, like all saying the same thing. I'm like, what, did they like rehearse this?
Yeah, they're making a play. They're making a play. That's what this is.
They're like, okay, we're running him out the spring training. We're gonna see if he can hit against live pitching, and then we send him down to the minors.
I almost wonder if they're setting him up for failure. I wonder if that whole plan was. I wonder if they've already decided he's not going to be their guy, and this was like the debut to present it to the world. Like, let's set him up for failure.
No,
you don't think so?
Here's what I think, bro. I think if his poll numbers, like he were polling at like 57% to Trump's 43, like if they're just doing, then they would have had like the spin that they would have given would be completely different on what they saw last night. They chose like MSNBC. Like an arm of the DNC chose of the clips that they wanted to show on Morning Joe, like the worst parts of Joe Biden in the debate.
But I think that proves my point, though, Erik. I think that proves my point. Like, literally,
that's fair.
Yeah, like I think that if he was doing well and they thought he could win, they probably would have never took the debate at all. They probably would have completely avoided it.
Or just say like, "Hey, we don't need to debate this guy. Everyone knows who he is. Like he's a convicted felon. We don't want to give him any more airtime to spew his lies on TV."
They set him up for failure because what other option do they have? If they want him out, he's gotta prove that he can't. He's not the guy. And so what do? They put him up on a national stage a world stage for that part. I mean, and let everyone see who he really is, and then trash him on national TV the day after and say, look, we love him, but he's not where he needs to be.
Yeah.
So they can set him up for the next guy.
Wild. It is wild.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Coordinated effort to trash him as the president, and like these questions, like, does he need to step down? What are you talking about? Like, what are you like? I just saw something. My own eyes, as someone who is not, I definitely am not left leaning. Like my own eyes saw like. Yeah, he's an 81-year-old man. He's not a great debater. Like that's what I saw with my own. I didn't feel that it was like any better or worse than what I expected.
But if you look at better than I expected, and I am not a Joe Biden supporter. Never have been, never will be.
I expected 0.0. I gave him a 4.5. Like that's like honest to goodness. So, but if you look at the 5-way polls, like over the past month, this is with RFK, with Jill Stein, and with Cornel West included. Like Biden's polling around 39%. Like 39%, and I think Trump is like around 41 or 42. I need to pull that up on Real Clear Politics, but like he's polling like less than 2 out of 5 people are planning to vote for him. Like they know that like, all right, we got to set him up so that we can like definitively pull the ripcord. If we wait until the first debate after the convention in like late August or September, like it's too late to like, parachute in a savior. Like we got to do something now so that there's like an option to replace him. And again, it's not even like I read this on any, it's just like, that's what I see. That like, I don't know how like the DNC superdelegates work. I know that even in states where like back in, in 2016, like states that Bernie, I think won, like somehow like Hillary Clinton got more superdelegates, or they could like choose who they wanted to vote for. So it's kind of like literally the DNC rigged it against Bernie, even in states that he beat Hillary Clinton. So I think like somehow by their voting rules, their delegates can kind of just vote for whoever they want. So when the convention comes, like democracy doesn't matter. They can just choose whoever, like a backroom deal. They can just decide like, yeah, well, we want this person instead. So I don't know the laws or the loopholes that are going to allow them to do this. But when MSNBC is saying that the president needs to not run for re-election, like that's not like that's a conspiracy theory. That's like, this is happening. Like, he's not going to be, and this is something Vivek was saying in the primaries like 8 months ago, that like, just tell us who we're actually going to be running against. Like, Joe Biden's not going to be the nominee. Like, tell us so we can have a real debate with whoever that candidate is. And it's like, lo and behold, here it's coming. So,
right.
So like, here, I want to get into this with you. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Ezra sEagle? Is it something like, have you
yes.
delved into? Okay,
so I've
tell me what you know.
So I've definitely listened to some podcasts, and I've read a little bit. I'm not super well versed. I understand that it's a prediction or a prophecy, basically, of today.
Right.
But I'm not sold either way on it. I know a little bit about it, but obviously you're a little more well versed than I am.
Yeah. So it's almost like, shut up so I can just be important. So basically, like, Ezra sEagle, for those that are just hearing that name for the first time, is a name given to a prophecy found in the book of 2nd Esdras, which was part of the Bible. Like, part of the, right now the canonized Bible is 66 books, and there's a separate section that the Catholic Church, I believe, still technically has in their physical canon, called the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha were books that were included in the canonized Bible, like the Geneva Bible from the 1600s, even into the early 1800s. The book of 2nd Esdras was like just in everyone's Bible. So it's not like some obscure like book of scripture. It was people just voted to take it out of the Bible like in the 1800s for whatever reason. And now some people hold on to it as Apocrypha. But in 2nd Esdras chapter 11, there's a guy named Michael B. Rush that kind of or at least has expounded upon what we're reading, and it sounds very similar to basically the rise and fall of America, and linking this beast with 3 eagle heads and these feathers to the American presidents, starting from Herbert Hoover until the end of America. And so he gives and this is something we're going to have to cover like at length at another time. But
we should.
In the prophecy, if that's what you can call it, again, like, it's different than like a prophecy we've already seen. Like, oh, we know it's a prophecy because it came to pass, and we know it's talking about this. It's like there is a little bit of stretching, but in the prophecy, it gets to where we identify that it's about presidents is where it talks about FDR and how his tenure would be longer than all the other presidents, and that no one would be able to serve up even to half that time, right? So he was a president he was elected for 4 terms. Then they passed the 22nd Amendment that no one could have more than 2 terms as president. So he was able, I think he died in office, so he didn't serve a full 16 years, but he was elected for 4 terms, or equivalent to 16 years. And after that, people can only serve for half of that length. It's like, holy crap. And then JFK was known as a short feather in the prophecy, as well as Richard Nixon, who was, bail me out, he was impeached. And so he was a short feather because he didn't finish his time. And then after that, we get up to Trump and then to Biden. And the eagle feather, talking about Biden, essentially says that his term will be shorter than the president before him. It doesn't say the word president. But essentially, like, this book of, from like 400 BC, basically says that Joe Biden is going to serve as president for a shorter period of time than Donald Trump.
So like he won't make it till January?
Yeah, that's basically what it's saying, is like, in order for it to be true, like, Joe Biden would have to like not make it to January 20th or whatever the date of the State of the Union or the inauguration. Like, that between now and then, Joe Biden will not be the president of the United States. So somebody else will be the president at some point before that inauguration. That's kind of like the gist of it. And then, it gets into the next 2 people that want to take the throne. They are swallowed up by these 3 eagle heads that kind of we're not really sure what they represent, but like kind of this balance of powers that eventually take control for themselves, like kind of stripping democracy. And these eagle heads then become like the ones that control the, I guess, the country. And so it's pretty wild. Well, if I were to ask you right now, like, do you think that Joe Biden will be the one that hands? To be honest, bro, I don't even remember what happened. Like, I know the last election was straight chaos, but before that, like, what was the transfer of power like? Does like the president, like, you know, shake hands and then like you put the tassel on the other side of the graduation hat? Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's just the inauguration. Like, they just both show up and it's just
yeah. So is there like a little
power.
speech like, you know, like, I hate you but you're the guy? Is that what's like supposed to happen?
Yeah, I think that in a perfect world that's what happens. Is they just transfer the power. Here you go. So
essentially, like, it's based on this Ezra sEagle that we will cover on the next episode. That Joe Biden will not be that person. Whoever like passes the torch over to whoever wins is not going to be Joe Biden. Like,
so literally,
that's wild to me.
Yeah, so they would literally have to not only pull him from the race, because my thoughts were, this is a play. Yeah. This is a play to pull him from the race. He's not going to be their guy. He's not going to be on the ballot.
Yep.
They're going to put somebody else forward. But not only does that have to happen, but it has to be that he's taken out of office and doesn't even finish
and I
his
guess
presidency.
Like Kamala would become the president. Like, you can step
That's
down as
wild.
president. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I guess we'll see.
So
we'll see if this comes
the cool
to
thing about
pass.
this, I think this guy Michael B. Rush, he only discovered it a couple years ago. And so the awesome thing is, unlike most prophecies, like, well, we don't know when Jesus is coming back. And so naysayers will say, of course it's fake. But this, like, we're going to know in like 6 months. Like, we're going to know in less than 6 months if this is real or not.
Right.
And
that's wild.
But it's like literally in, you know, you can read it for yourself. Like 2nd Ezra chapter 11, it's like available on Google. You can just Google it and find it probably on like Bible Hub or something. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, state of affairs here. So I'll tell you what, if you're watching and you want to hear something particular, we're not just like, I'm definitely not, my life is not politics. I hope it never is. But if you want to hear something particular on this show, whether it be sports, whether it be freaking sports betting, I don't know, any topic, conspiracies, we'll talk about the things that you're not allowed to talk about at work. We'll talk about the moon landing and whether it was fake or not. We'll talk about whether QAnon's real and JFK Jr. is coming back from the dead to be Donald Trump's vice president. Like, we'll talk about all the dumb stuff, so you don't have to. And the pinned comment in the comment section of this video will be the first topic we talk about next video. So leave us the topic that's burning in your mind about what we need to talk about and discuss on this show. And with that, we ask you to like and subscribe. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. We're out.